Hey everyone, got some latest stuff for Project Stray. I've been absolutely crunching to like unhealthy proportions to get the build to a point that I'm satisfied with. My current goal right now is what I really want is to have the build in like a playable state where it's sort of like main loop is something that people can actually like download and play and actually enjoy it, where it's base broken down uh minimum for what it is. That's pretty much what I want. So you're seeing here, this is all the Kismet stuff. Well, not all of it. Honestly, this is just the first layer. If you go in there, each of these things is another function, and there's just layers upon layers and layers of stuff going on. Yeah, a lot of this is just gonna need cleanup too, because I've learned a lot about how to do things. Like this whole mess right over here, this doesn't even need to be this way. I'll be able to fix that in no time. Like I was updating the timers on each of the guns on the single player HUD. So like I'd say that barring maybe the game state or the game, I'm not using the game mode. Barring like the player character, the game state is probably the second most complicated of the current blueprints. The player HUD's not so bad. Player controller is a little bit of stuff going on. It's going to get a little bit more complicated probably in this video. And player character is just insane. There's a lots of stuff going on, and a lot of stuff that needs to be tweaked. Like I don't need any of these dispatchers, and all of the HUD element updates like modify crosshair and all this stuff. I'm using interfaces for all this stuff now. So hopefully I don't hit some kind of a weird limitation, but so far interfaces have been pretty effective for what I need. Even for talking to stuff in the world space. So I've got like destructibles, and I use an interface that says like reset world destruction. So basically, this right here is a destructible object, and it's a single blueprint, and I'm gonna have it be like have like a base blueprint that has this function set up on it. When then I have a bunch of child blueprints that point to the different destructibles. Basically, as soon as the object spawns, it gets its world transform, and then whenever I call this function, what it does is it removes the old one and then places a new one in its place. Now I could probably go a little bit more advanced with this. Well, actually I have to, because the destructibles are acting a little funny in currently. Okay, so right now when you start in, you'll always see the dual HUD visible at the top of the screen, which is player 1 versus player 2. But the bars are red because they're empty. So basically what's going to happen is whenever the bars are empty, they'll not be visible. And I don't know, a lot of this has just been like kind of tweaking things. You might notice that as a spectator I have a little sphere. I've been exploring the idea of every spectator kind of having a visible like bot that sort of floats around the top of the map. It's kind of a neat little idea. Like maybe these like spectators are visible to everybody, and but you have to float from above the map in order to look down. Like, but the level is designed in such a way where you can pretty much see about 90% of all of the things that you want to see from above. I think I've already mentioned this before in previous builds, previous videos. So anyway, you'll notice that I have a queue for match. So you can queue, you get into line, and it takes a minimum of 2 players in order for you to be able to start a match. However, if you want to just like run around the level while you're waiting for somebody to join the server or whatnot, that is also an option, and you can despawn it anytime you want and just go right back. And you know, you remain queued for match until you say leave queue. And that's currently working right now. You'll notice that all of the weapons are now firing visible projectiles. They were always projectiles to begin with, but it feels a lot better when you can actually see them, because there's like a delay in some cases. Like the shotgun's projectiles are much slower, and they're not really great for like long range. It felt really hard to understand why the shotgun sucked so much at long range. Now that you can actually see the projectiles, you know, it's a lot easier to understand. Okay, yeah. For some reason, it's I don't know. It's kind of random. Sometimes the destruction happens, sometimes it doesn't. That was the first time I've had to deal with it, like, completely ignoring. It's really strange. Anyway. Oh shit. Completely out of energy. One of my favorite things about the way the destruction works in this is that it's not just giant chunks of rubble that kind of cut off, but you'll kind of see like things will fall apart just a little bit, and you'll see like slants to the way the geometry is set up. Wonder why it's being so like difficult all of a sudden. I guess it's because people are watching. That's great. Yeah. Fucking awesome. Anyway, so what I have to do right now, what are the current goals of this project at this very point in time, is to hook up the stuff that's broken on the HUD. So I have to rework all of the stuff that's already there, and that's that. I think once I get this in place, the build will be ready for Friday, barring any like little like tweaks and bug fixes, which is a really good thing. Because man, one of the reasons why I'm just crunching on this so hard, I just want to see it. I just want to see the game realized in its base loop, you know. So anyway, I guess time to get started on the health bars. Right? Player character is using the global interface. So let's see. Go up to the function where I modify health. I'm starting off with health bars. Welcome to the damage formula. Whether or not the player is blocking determines how much of their meter goes up. If you block damage, you actually gain extra meter. If you're not blocking, then you gain just double damage for your meter. Meter fills up fairly quickly. Alright, here's where the player dies, or if the player has 0 health. Okay, so here's the widget. Now this widget was once used to pull a variable up from another function, which is like, I don't know, some wacky stuff. It's not necessary anymore. Although I do still want to talk to the player controller when it comes to conveying like damage. Is the player controller damage and health pickups? The player controller and the game state will be directly speaking with the player character, because the health bars for player 1 and player 2 will be interested when the player takes damage. So I'm trying to think how I want to set that up. like 99% of this is literally just thinking about the best way to do it. So and the player number. Player 0 is you. Player 1 and player 2 is the... Alright, and you go into player controller. Okay. So the player character is going to do a message. See, the reason why I side with doing interfaces as a means of communicating between different blueprints is because it's not really creating a dependency, which is pretty neat. These dispatchers kind of did the same thing, but they're more messy. And like with this, you have the added benefit of being able to see, okay, here's a list of all of the different things that are going between them. Like this is listening for when the player 0 health. So what was going to the dispatcher is now going to... Alright. Now I don't need this dispatcher anymore. I think I'm gonna just, as I'm going, I'm gonna delete these. Now this has to point to the player controller, so it'll be at controller. Alright. So now this is sending a command out to the player controller to do something whenever the player reaches, or player's health is updated. So I'm going to have to make a player 0 stats. I tend to feel a little bit like a lot of this is just going to keep changing. I don't know. I guess it's just like with programming. It's like you get it implemented and then you spend like a week cleaning it up afterwards, if you even have that time. So add event, player controller, update player 0 health. Okay. Now I need to do a little bit more with this player 0 health. Now the global interfaces are used for also sending. They're also used for sending variables across each other as well. So it's a float, player character. Oh, no, these are integers. So I'm gonna have to convert this into a float, like right here. And the way to do that, I'll just do health. I don't even know why I called it self-health. I was thinking about things in such different terms when I first started this project. Okay, so player stats. Okay, so I take these two integers and I think I divide them into each other. That's pretty much this exact thing. It's just now being auto done. And modify health. Alright, so now the player controller is being told to, hey, you know, now have a floating point health ratio of whatever it is that you're currently possessing. Can now call this function and uh, and get a health ratio. I just got to make sure that it's a float instead of an integer. Okay, so at this point, this is only going to speak directly to the spectator HUD, or I mean the player HUD. So I need to have a global interface, and I'm going to be update player. So listen. Right, and then you're going to go into the player HUD. That is where you belong. And this will just be for the single player HUD. But anyway, God, what is it doing? All right. So I was actually kind of starting to think about. See, this already exists. Streaming, because what I'm doing right now actually sort of lends itself more towards a streaming environment than it does actually uh, making like set videos. Like the videos should be a little bit more to the point and just sort of personal experience with the medium is that it kind of does make more sense to stream this kind of content than it does to actually to make like a video showing what I'm doing. Although I'm pretty sure somebody will see this and go, oh, that's how interfaces work. That's how you do it. Or maybe I'll have somebody point out. I was like, well, you know, you're using the interfaces this way, but here's an even better way to use them. And of course, there's also the very strong possibility that that this is not even a good way to do it. So one of the first things that's going to happen is when the player first spawns is the HUD won't know how much health the player has. So I'll have to have one of these. I'll end up actually having to have one of these sitting in event begin play, which I think at this point I can just go ahead and collapse this. Listen. Or, you know, maybe maybe it would have made more sense to just put it here. Oh, actually, not really. So, well, yeah, actually, it makes more sense to just put this in a function and just call the function. That way I can call this over and over again without having to deal with any weirdness. So this is now broken, but there you go. That's a little easier actually. Okay, so in this function, which was pretty much what it was doing anyway, maybe I won't have to delete it. I've salvaged an old function. Okay, listen HUD update player 0 help bar. And that's weird. You gotta go context sensitive, turn it off, and go message. You just type message in, right? And you see listen player HUD right there, and there it is, right? And then this little guy right here, he communicates directly to there, and he goes straight to the player HUD. Player HUD is now updated. Now we should see player's health, and oh, I broke old stuff. Awesome. Yeah, there's gonna be a whole bunch of old stuff that's gotten broken. Yeah, this is all toast. No use to me. No use. Go away. Actually, just delete these damn things. Don't need to be, And if you do, I'll just have to learn how to do them all over again. At least the shitty frame rate while I'm recording. Oh shit, it's still finding stuff. Wait, what? Oh yeah, all these. What's left? Anything else? You want a piece of me? Init widget contents. Eh. Okay, so that should work. Alright, and of course, event begin play. I'm going to update health ratio as soon as the player spawns. As soon as you touch the ground, soldier, you will now have a health bar, I think. My only fear with dispatchers is that they don't just talk to one thing at a time. They can be used for like globally talking to like everything. So not quite sure. I'm still fuzzy on some of the details. Okay, it appears that didn't actually work, and I'm not sure exactly why. So like controller. It should just work with get controller. Yeah, that shouldn't have any problems. Missing something really silly. Almost guaranteeing it. Something really silly that's being missed. So it looks like I had to use the get player controller 0, but it wouldn't use the other one. It's really confusing. So it's like, huh. It seems to be working up to that point, but it's not updating on the actual HUD yet, which is strange. No, for some reason I'm not having very much luck. So it looks like maybe the way I had it before uh, is necessary. So right here will be health ratio, and I'll end up pretty much using this um, interface the same way the dispatcher was being used. Huh. For some weird reason, it's like the HUD just isn't updating. There's probably some other problem. I just don't see why this isn't working. Okay, so what I ended up doing was I stuck to my guns, the original way I was thinking of doing it. Ugh, it was like annoying because I don't know exactly what's causing it, but it seems to be actually working right now. Just using the original way that I wanted to do it before. And then I ran into a bunch of other bugs, like for some reason rockets weren't doing damage anymore because I disabled self-damage, which just disabled rocket damage completely. It's great. So yeah, I appear to actually be taking damage from my own rockets now. Yeah, it seems about right. Okay, so it turns out that the player controller thing with the index number, yeah, I don't know why get controller didn't work for a little bit, but now all of a sudden it does. I don't know. It's difficult to kind of like nail down exactly what caused that, but it's working now. The only problem I'm having is that I need to make it work on clients, which at the moment it's only working on the server. Shouldn't be too hard to fix. Alright, it looks like I have it working. I have one bar working. It only took all night of messing around. And once again, it was the damn client server thing. I wish it was just a little bit easier to just like look at the nodes and see, okay, this one, like, if it could just have like a little text on the bottom left side of the node, of every node, whether or not it's client or a server action or something like that. There you go. I guess I can find somebody else. Yep, one of the other players is over here. No sound! Takes a lot to kill somebody in this game. Of course, that means he's got some meter. Orbital strike! Oh god! Oh, almost killed myself with that. Well, so in order for this to work, I'm gonna have to do an RPC for every single one of these bars in player controller. So yeah. Oh no, I'll just go ahead and skip ahead and get the other bars working. Okay, so your advice, Antoine, was badass. So your advice was super useful tonight. Hell yeah. And it really was, seriously. Okay. What he mentioned to me was this trick right here is server and is locally controlled. is local controller. Well, is server is all I really need it to be able to determine, because if it turns false, then obviously it's client, and it's either one or the other, right? But this right here made it a lot easier for me to understand why it wasn't working and everything like that, and it's going to be a lot easier for me now to just like run a quick check. It's like, that's not working for some reason. Oh, it's probably because it's a server thing and I need it to be a client thing. So, yeah, super helpful. Thank you very much. Even though I just figuring this out took me like all freaking night, and it's like the simplest thing. Well, now that I know how to do it, it's going to be super easy. Oh yeah, I like to do this. Whenever I have like a unique listen, I just collapse it down and just say, what was it? Listen, update player 0 health. Listen, update. Makes it a heck of a lot easier to look at. Because I have to admit, those RPCs are really ugly. And I literally I spend way too much time trying to get these nodes like on the grid. If they could make one change to this whole system is to like just make all of these fit perfectly on the grid, I think I don't know. This is like such a level designer thing to think. Come to think about it, there's no reason for this to actually indicate player 0. Why? Why would it matter? It's the way I'm using the functions that, because this can be, all three of these can be used for the other player 1 and player 2. Why even worry about player 0 and indicating that at all? It's not necessary. It's going to be a little bit tricky trying to figure out how to do, because the game state is where these will be called. So these are going to be called in the player controller, and then game state's also going to call these. So I'll have to figure out how that's going to work. Now, one thing to keep in mind whenever you're working with the interfaces is that if you change a name or something like that, it completely hoses it. So you have to place it. So this would be player controller. Yeah. If it doesn't have that little blue icon on the top, so yeah, I might have broke something. Yeah, this is broken too. So it's message. Message to player controller health. Right. So in the case of the player HUD, though, it does matter that player 0 is specified, because there will also be a player 1 and a player 2. Different health bars for each of these guys. Oops. You don't belong there. Alright, he's here now. I don't know for sure if it has to pass, if I have to actually pass these values through the RPC like that. That'd be something that I'd like to know. Anybody can answer that for me. I've been doing it just to be safe. There's maybe some kind of potential issue if you don't pass the variables through the RPC. Decline it. And I can't shake the feeling I'm doing all of this in some weird way. But if it works, hey, right? Alright. These are all in place. All in place. Now for the player character. I guess just like with modify him, be anything that modifies energy. Which I think actually stuff, damn it. Energy. Oh, there's that dispatcher. Kinda just shows me. Primitive. Okay. Thing is before. Message. Player controller. Energy. Eh. Down, so there's some room. Get controller. Go. Target is pawn. Pawn, I tell you. And you can tell I'm getting a little delirious. Like a sleep. We'll do that to you. I guess when it comes to this dev stuff, if I was actually streaming, I'd have no problem with like streaming for 9 hours straight, because I think that's pretty much 12 to 16-hour days. It's been kind of silly, honestly. Okay. Energy. I had to put a little delay in the in this in the spawn begin game or begin play, because without that you'd actually it would try to get these stats before the player even spawned, before the HUD was even up. So there's a slight pause there. Alright. So looks like energy is now set up. Yep. Last one is meter. Just go to some meter. Wait, get to the chopper. Get to the meter. Alright, I'm really delirious. Alright. Meter. Get meter ratio. Maybe this will show some people how to do this. Like, I mean, there's a lot of like little details. It pretty much is just programming, but um, for me, it's always been a lot more interesting, and it's a little easier to convey these kinds of things from one person to another. I think blueprints are really excellent to learn the basics of programming. Get controller. No, just controller. Don't get player controller, because that damn thing has an index on it. Okay, message. Player meter bar. That's going straight to the HUD. You can't talk to the HUD from the player. Player meter. There it is. There it is. There it is. Alright. So there. It's kind of funny because it's like when I first started this, it was like just sort of stumbling around in the darkness, but now once I saw it work once, now it's just like taste of blood. Okay. You stupid dispatchers. I have no need for you. Aw. Honestly though, I can get these things to be really simple. I'm gonna just like spend like a month just cleaning shit up while I'm adding new things, but okay. That gets this. That calls this. Alright. How much you wanna bet this doesn't work on the first try? Oh wow, look at that, it worked. No shit. Yep, there it is. Blue bar. Now you can self-damage to gain meter. Yeah, I'm gonna nerf that. Well, then hang on, look how much health I gave up for it. If somebody wants to shoot themselves with a rocket, maybe that's their choice. Kind of a strategy is that. Oh, slow motion. Oh, man, I wish this. Oh god. Oh, it worked. That's a lot of rubble. Oh my god. What the? I guess that's a new problem that we're gonna be facing. Rubble piles. I've never seen that before. Not like this. That is a totally unintended rubble pile. Alright. This actually appears to be working on all clients as well. Yep. Everybody's got their own little solo health bars and watch that meter climb. I gotta change the color so it's white. Meter's supposed to be a white bar. This guy's so gonna get an orbital strike. Ugh. Remind me never to try to kill somebody with a pistol. Alright. Eat orbital strike, bitch! What the hell? The block is like hanging there. Okay, so that's that for the player's local bars for the solo HUD. Now for the dual HUD, which is going to be a whole new beast. Actually, going to be kind of annoying, to say the least. .5 is kind of a hack to hide the fact that the bar starts empty. It's actually just sort of fake fake that it's half full when it first starts out, and then when it does the first update, it goes right straight to halfway. Icky, but it works. Alrighty. Alright, so now it's all nice and compact. Health meter, health energy meter. Seems to be working. So, once again, you travel on unexplored territory. See, the only place that I'm going to be able to get the other players, player 1 and player 2, are going to be in game state. This is where I set my player 1 and player 2 reference. So I think I'm going to do something slightly dirty. but I have an idea. Okay, so this is just going to be basically a repeat of exactly what was there before. So exactly what I did here, I'm going to have to do the same. Pipe it through game state instead of player controller. Trying to think. I could probably pipe it from character to player controller, then to game state. I might, I can really do that. Unlike it is that it's kind of creating dependency on the game mode. I like the idea that these things are not really dependent on each other. Like I can just plug in a different game mode and it'll just work. That's why I like these interfaces so much, is that they don't seem to really actually have a dependency on each other. Things just kind of call each other, and if it's there, it's there, and if it's not, then whatever. So, just, nothing happens. Hmm, how's this gonna work? Alright, so here's my idea. Took a little bit of thinking. Okay, so I'll just have one extra function that I call right here, player controller, when I'm doing this jazz. That is just like an extra thing. It's just called monitor. Monitor health, energy, and meter. So within game state, what I'll do is I'll use this monitor call, check it against any of the places. Actually, all the game modes may actually make the use of monitoring all of these updates. So every single time someone's health, energy, or meter changes, game state will know about it. Whether or not I use this information is completely up to the game mode, but it's always monitoring. So that's the idea. I don't know how it'll work, but that's kind of how I'm organizing this in my mind. So game state, state. Okay. So listen, monitor player health, energy, player meter. So where should I stick the monitors? Create them first. Message, game state, health. Oh yeah, that's right. These are each need to have a floating point variable. That'll be health. Not much use to me if I can't pass something through it. It's kind of a weird thing to say. Sounds a little weird anyway. Alright. Hit this. Alright, that's more like it. Now, I mean, this isn't directly part of this particular loop. This is something that could kind of exist on its own. Maybe even a sequencer. Do this and then do that. Just have these two things plugged together. Plug them. Alright, hold on. Let me yoink this down here. And I really should be just streaming this. This is weird that it's a video. Maybe it really is. Maybe it's time that I just start streaming instead of making like videos. Because when it comes to stuff like this, I don't know how long this video. This is gonna be like an hour-long video probably. I'm sorry, freaking sorry. Okay, so it's like that. All right, shit's working. Shit is in fact working. Oh, what if the RPC doesn't work well with the game state though? Ah, yeah. All right, sequence. Come on. Oh, I just called it a sequencer. I didn't have to actually type in sequencer. All right, basically this just does one thing and then the other right afterwards. Just kind of a cleaner way to think about it because I don't want the order of these things to actually have an effect on each other. In fact, really all this needs is just that floating point variable. That's it. Once again, I am spending tons of time just stuff around because I'm a level designer that feels like everything needs to be on the grid. Somebody shoot me. Shoot me. Um, Message. Alright, yeah. God, when I was first learning these, this was a nightmare. Oops. Wait, what did I... Message... What did I type wrong? What did I do? Okay, so game state. This is going to be meter. No, energy. Pow. Just goes right there. Hey, stop. Get so into what I'm doing, I didn't even notice. Was loading. Okay. And once again, doing the same thing again. Grab this sequence. Plug that in. Got it. Oh. Yeah, that's right. I need to have a different call on these targets, pins. That's not a big deal. That's not a big deal. It's just going to be game state. Just get game state. Okay, so message. Lack of sleep. I think I'm going to sleep for a week. After I get this game playable, I'm just going to sleep for a week. That's it. Just be like, goodbye, world. Okay. Game state. Get game state. It's kind of funny. I wonder if the way things are going with these blueprint systems, if there'll be like job openings for people who can just like build a game really fast using just blueprints. Like, yeah, we need someone to block out a game design. Like, don't even bother with a game design document. Just like come up with a couple of ideas basically, and just say, do this and make it happen by like 3 months from now. It's like, okay, it's like totally doable now. So fucking possible. I wonder if people would be interested in that. I wonder if there's like a whole new like bunch of opportunities for anybody who can get really kung fu with this blueprint system. Okay. Alright. Now this is now monitoring any changes that occur That's it. It's monitoring all changes. The game state is now capable of being aware of any changes to player health, energy, and meter. And I guess down the line, game state's obviously going to need to be tracking stuff like how much damage you do and how much. But I'm not even going to get that far yet. I mean, there doesn't seem to be any problems with being able to go that far. But I guess we'll have to see how it goes. Anyway, I'm talking too much. All right, so I got this, but something is missing. You see, at least in the base case of this, I don't really care about monitoring somebody's health if they're not participating in the game mode, right? So how do I check? All right, I got it. I know what to do. Basically, I go into global interface, add another one, very quickly specify player controller, type it in, player controller. All right, got this. All right, I'm just gonna do that like two more times. Oh God, look what I've done. Oh, Well, this is just gonna need more space. You know what I just did? This is you know when you look at somebody's script for the first time and you look at it and you think, oh fuck, what is all this shit, right? You just watched it happen. So like someday someone's gonna just pop in and like see the script and be like, what the fuck? Oh god, what is all this shit? God damn it! Now I gotta learn it all. It's like this looks complicated. Why was he thinking these things? And then 6 months from now, I won't even know what the hell I was thinking when I come back to this. I'll be like, what was I doing? Or I'll be thinking, that was a really bad way to do it. Oh, no. Not player controller. Self. Because I'm in a player controller. I don't need anything fancy here. This is it. In fact, I can just copy, paste. I'm having way too much fun right now. This sucks. Sleeping. Need sleep. Okay, so back away from the madness. I am now here. I foresee some branches in my future. Oh, and more RPCs too. What the hell, man? I gotta like use RPCs everywhere. I didn't sign up for that. I don't get it. I wish it was a little checkbox. I could just be like, check on the server. Check, run on client. Oh, maybe I'm just thinking about everything all wrong. Just doesn't make any sense. Okay, so uh so within this whole thing, I guess I have to determine if it's a player controller that matches either player ready list, which is an array, or I can just directly compare it to these guys, player 1 and player 2. Ah, yeah. I guess that's how it will work. Okay, so I'm just gonna do a little bit of getting the HUD ready for the new widget updates. Widgets. So we go. Alright. Man, that's a lot of stuff. I knew this list is gonna start getting long, but this is longer than a long cat. That's too long. Alright, so I'm at a point now where I am too tired to really think of the solution, and I think it is time to try and get some sleep. However, where I am currently standing is I have all of these set up. Player HUD is now ready to accept input from the game state, But I'm stumped because this pin right here requires me finding the player HUD, which is only referenced from the player controller, which, I mean, maybe it's not that much of a sin for me to just cast in game state. It's not like it's a dependency because I'm always going to be using the player controller. What I don't want to have is the player controller getting bogged down by stuff that's specific to game modes. So maybe casting would actually be the lesser of two evils in this particular case, and I'll just like cast to the player controller and grab the player HUD variable from there, and maybe that'll work, and I'll actually be able to just talk directly to the player HUD from game state. Or maybe somebody has a better idea. I don't know. I hope you enjoyed. I hope the video wasn't too long. If you like what you see, click like and subscribe. I'm gonna try and keep up on more stuff, and yeah, I may actually begin just streaming future. I'm not sure if it'll be soon, but um, it kind of makes sense for these longer things where I'm actually just working on stuff that takes forever to do. So hope you enjoyed, and see you around. The evil that satisfies your